Hey, everyone. I hope everyone is good. I hope everyone is great on my end. The sun is shining so beautifully. The skies are blue, and I hope that that is a telltale sign of the weeks and the days ahead. If it's not shining on your end, I hope that you experience one of these beautiful, sunny, blue sky days. It is something about a beautiful day that really shifts the mood and makes you feel oh so good inside. It kind of makes you feel like you can accomplish anything when it's a beautiful day, right? Or you kind of want to just sit in the ambiance of a good day and just chill and collect yourself in the beauty of the day. All right, so I mentioned on Monday that this will be the ending of this season. We will be bridging into something real serious starting on Monday. It will start a different season. So that will be season 3. The beautiful reminders are the season 2s because that is a continuance. So that would always stay. But so we'll be bridging into season 3 and we're going to talk about some serious topics. And I wanted to do so because, many of us will or have experienced some of these things that we will be talking about. But if you haven't, it kind of gives you kind of a side of what it is to experience those things and maybe give you a little bit of knowledge into why people behave the way they do, why they show up the way they do, or why certain things are triggered. So I'm excited about what, the new episode and new seasons are going to show up for you and what they're going to provide for you. And I'm good. I'm happy. I'm ready, y'all. For this last episode into this season, I, want to dig into, reevaluating your circle. And as we know, the circle can be amongst friends, family. It can be a mixture of the two. And, if we think back as a child, let's say 6 or 7, on to our early teens, turning 13, and then we go into 17 and 18, onto our 20s, our 30s, and our 40s. And if, we have some beautiful seasoned listeners onto our 50s and our 60s, we understand that with all of that, we changed. Our ideologies changed, responsibilities changed, lots of things in our life shifted, which also made things about us rearrange and move a different way, which in turn probably changed our circle of people. And again, circle of people could be considered as friends, family, friends and family. And I want to give this example because, for many young people, and I don't say all because look, I didn't really fit into this category, but I know many friends that did, and there's nothing wrong with that. Many people in their younger teens and 20s, this was our terminology, club hoppers, or the ones who enjoy the nightlife. On that Friday or that Saturday, you and your friends get together and y'all hit the club, right? And y'all do this for an extended amount of time because this was your form of entertainment and enjoyment. Y'all kicked it. Y'all had fun with your friends. And then, life starts to happen as you evolve and move on into the latter part of your life, let's say the 20s, and you have established this job, right? So this job has now taken the time and capacity away from what you normally did, which was club hop on the weekends, which also bridged you into a place where you could no longer hold on to the club hopping on the Friday and the Saturday and had to be up, or be attentive for a job. So you shifted away from the club hopping episodes. Now, while your friends still stayed in, those scenarios and went out amongst, themselves, and maybe occasionally you fell through with it, it kind of eased off. And so that was nothing that was a primary source of your entertainment. Now you are a big boy, a big girl, and you are heading into maturity. And so those things no longer serve you. And what tends to happen mainly with those circles is that there is a space that begins to open up and divide you and those other people in that circle, because now you don't have a confined relatability in that friendship, in those connections, which doesn't mean that they're, wrong for not moving the way that you are. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong for moving the way you are. It just means that in some facets, in some, places in your life, there is not compatibility. And so while you are being mature with the big girl and the big boy job, there is no seriousness from their way of living, maybe with, just being able to freely live their lives. And so that opens up space. And eventually what will happen again is that the space will widen and you will no longer be in close proximity to those people. Understand that, certain things won't serve you. So again, going back into that analogy, the club hopping doesn't serve you anymore because now you have more responsibilities. And, when you get that good job, you want more. So now you've, purchased you, or rented a nice apartment, or you've gotten you a house. And so you don't have the time nor the energy to expound on those particular activities. And the same with, even taking that scenario of club hopping away. Let's talk about school, for instance, college. One thing that many people are aware of is that the friends that they had in high school are different than the friends that they had in college, because you meet different people and you find your tribe of people. Normally when you go to college, y'all have a likeness of things and you join, different activities and you find those connections there. And so the people that may have served you in high school with, the proximity of being at the same place no longer serves you in your college stature. And then moving on into the real world, it is the same. We can even talk about church, moving into a place where, you were normally just leisurely living your life. And then you decided that church was going to be a part of your daily and your weekly life. And you started to, have relationships with people in your church by the way of Christianity and sharing, spiritual warmth, and therefore they became your tribe and you have a congruence. But other people who had been before them are no longer at the same place, and that's okay. It's okay to not enjoy the things that you used to. I think that, just like when we fall off of certain things, it does feel like a loss, right? It feels like grief. It feels like a death of something. And we struggle to maintain and align the things that we used to with the things that we're doing now. Sometimes we seem to think that we are not balancing everything out. But one thing that I have recognized when it comes to moving from one place to another, things that, used to make me happy to now moving into something else that makes me happy, is that when I'm at that happy medium of maturity, and I'm growing into something that I really enjoy, I rarely look back at what I did and enjoy back then. I just understand that that is a part of growth that I have experienced, and that's okay. On the flip side of this, talking about reevaluating your circle, we also come into play with the discomfort that it brings when the circle is reevaluated and different things are posed and presented, where now you have the function of people thinking that you are different. Oh, sit on that for a minute. When people say that you have been, the people that you've been so close to, again, family, friends, and you've always had a likeness and a congruency with the same activities and the same things. And now you have moved into a place where you recognize that you like these things about your life. When you start to move a little different, you will be accused of acting a lot of funny, right? And you'll get the the side eyes, and they'll, winch up their nose towards you, and the separation will be very, very apparent. And it's not that so many times you feel as if you are being better than. You're just different in the way that you move and your responsibilities. I also want to backtrack a little bit because, for one thing that I think when you become a parent also, that either makes or break friendships and connections that you may have had. Having children is and we know, a 24/7 responsibility. And if people are not mature enough to understand that children take a lot of work, you will find that people will fall off because you no longer have time for them. And so that is when you begin to just realize that life is really lifing right now, and that people are going to show up differently based on circumstance, and that really there's nothing you can do. Again, it will feel like a death because these people are, close to you, and you've shared so many activities and so many likenesses, and now everything is different. Now I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna jump. I know I'm jumping, but back to, the feeling and the overall sentiment that people feel that you are, you acting different or you being brand new. I want you to, words hurt. They really do. But I want you to sit on the fact that, whatever feels good for you and is working for you is basically where you need to move on to. People will say a lot of things to really make you feel as if you're supposed to go back to a time and a place that you were supposed to make them feel comfortable. But if we look at it from the aspect of our eyes and also from our understanding and our wisdom, we know that our lives cannot afford to be in places and spaces and doing certain things that doesn't amount to our growth. If I went back on everything that I used to do, that means that I'm going backwards and not moving forward. And also, we're talking about reevaluating your circle. You will find that there are people who are complacent and staying where they are. They don't welcome growth because for a lot of people, growth is scary. Growth is scary. And so they'd rather be at the place that they've been for years. And to be honest, we don't have time for that. In every facet, in every movement, and every time that we turn a different age in a different space, we owe ourselves the ability to move forward, to move wisely, to move maturely, and just to live openly the way that we need to show up how we need to, and just have the great ability to move in ways that we never did before. If I acted the way I did as a teenager into my adulthood as a 40-year-old woman, I don't think that would suffice, nor would it give me any piece of wisdom. Would it allow me discernment in my personal life? And it wouldn't attract the type of people that I would want around me in my circle now. I could not operate in my teenage self as a 40-year-old woman, because then I would get the immature teenage acts as a 40-year-old woman. Y'all feel me? Y'all follow me? In the rift of non-understanding between, two people, where that person comes to you and say, you're different now, and many aspects of you I don't understand. And especially with people, you're very close to, which could be, a best friend or a favorite cousin or, a sibling. You need to communicate where you are, and if it is salvageable. And listen, I'm not one to say throw people away, okay? Because when it gets to the point where they got to be throwawayable, then you act on that. But I am one to say that, a lot of things can be salvageable. But when it is a conversation that goes into that medium where someone feels that you are pulling apart because of, the way in which you are growing, then I would offer conversation and to tell them why it is that, this place in which you are is yours, and also understand where they are. It's hard when you are basically, at the same age and trying to explain to someone why your life and their life looks different and trying to come to a common ground. Most of the time, people are receptive of listening, and then many times people don't want to hear it. All they want to pounce upon you is the fact that you changed and that you are now unavailable, and they put the guilt on you. But I would say that conversations either open up for understanding, or it takes away from what it is that you are trying to get an understanding about. And if they are not wanting to hear and not understand what it is that you're going through or where you're at in your life, then maybe that circle again has to be reevaluated, and maybe that person is no longer suitable in your life because they do not understand your growth. And with that being said, you have to be at peace with the departure or space between those familiar connections. I'm going to say that again. You have to be at peace with the departure or space between familiar connections. We have to be okay with sometimes letting people go and moving in the direction in which they need to move. And it seems a little selfish, and I'm going to say this outright, but you don't owe anyone any explanations when it comes to your growth. You don't owe anyone a guideline as to where you are moving next. And you don't need permission for you to personally grow and move into a place where it suits you best. The only thing that you can do is explain and talk things out. And if there is not a set answer, if there's not a meeting where there's a meeting of the minds and understanding, then you have to understand that that is just not the place that both of you need to be, and it's going to be okay. There were various people in my life where I just understood that a lot of the activities and a lot of the things that I enjoy with these people didn't, serve me best. And with growth also, I'll give you some examples. Sometimes with women, when we sit amongst each other, now you can have intellectual conversations, and then you can have conversations about growth and setting goals, and then you have conversations that are only about gossiping, right? And so I remember sitting in the space of friends who did a lot of gossiping, and it always made me uncomfortable. But because they were my friends, I was very accepting of those conversations, even though I never wanted to bridge into those conversations and hop in it, because I don't know, that's an ick for me, right? And slowly but surely it became a turn off for me. And I realized that the more and more that we started to, hang out and be together, the more and more it was about gossiping. And I was at a place where I really wanted to have conversations about goals, and I wanted to talk about like real woman stuff, because I may have had a few friends on the other side who were talking about these things, and I enjoyed these conversations because I left feeling as if they poured so much into me, and by the exchange of conversation, I was able to pour so much into them. And so what ended up happening was I started spending more time with a group of friends who were enlightening me, and I was able to cheer on and they were able to cheer with me as well. And the friends that were doing the gossiping, I spent little time with them. And so there was a obvious shift. And in this particular situation, nothing was said for a while. Like, we were still interacting, maybe through text or, through a social media post, but it became very apparent that I was no longer interested in, being in the gossip group. And I'll be honest, many times also when it's uncomfortable for me, I didn't want to have those conversations, right? So I didn't want to be the first and the primary to walk into those conversations and say, hey, I know you've been noticing that we have space, but the reason why I'm here, I just kind of let it subside until one of my friends actually wanted to go on lunch, and she said, I've been noticing that you've been kind of away. Is everything okay? And blase, blase. And it was like the moment of truth, right? And I really got afraid to even speak on it because I didn't know how me voicing my honesty would show up for her. And I remember sitting there, and she thought that maybe it was family issues or that it was something personal that I was going through, because not only was my conversations with the other women different, but even my mindset had changed. And so I was on to another level, even, how I showed up for myself. And so I told her, I said, I love y'all dearly, but the gossiping, I really didn't like in the first place. And I really felt out of place anyway, because I didn't really know these people. And she was like, yeah, I noticed you didn't really jump into the conversation or engage. And she admitted to me that, even with having those conversations, she felt uncomfortable because some of the people that were talked about in certain situations, she knew those people, but she was only engaging in conversations because that was what was familiar to her with her friend. And so I remember us having this open dialogue and us talking about it. And I said, I'm at this point in my life where I don't want to have these conversations because it's not self-serving to me. And to be honest, I don't want to know about what everybody has going on because it really doesn't make me happy. I don't want to know about somebody else's business because I just don't want to know. And I don't want to gossip because really the way I look at it, gossiping is a sin, right? It is just taking time out of your day to sit and talk about something or somebody that really is not elevating or pushing the mind anywhere. And by the end of this conversation, I began to talk to her about what I had experienced with this group of friends and, the things that we were doing, the goals that we were setting, and how it just really, really like rearranged my mind and really pushed me forward to a forward thinking of maturity and just handling women's business. And I'm glad that I had that conversation and clarity one-on-one, because I knew that I couldn't have that conversation with another friend girl who was really the queen gossiper, honey. Because, she was at a place where she wasn't ready to change. And I also realized too that, sometimes when people are the gossip queens or the gossip kings, it's because they have a space in their, heart or in their body and their mind that is unhappy. And so what I found is that their gossiping somehow in a cruel way makes them happy, right? And so I didn't want to, that's not my life. And I didn't want to go there. So I said all that to say that conversations do help. And I'm glad that we bridged into that conversation, because that introductory conversation that I had with that friend also opened her up to being receptive of talking about other things. She was never introduced into talking about women's business and goals and, just expounding on, categories and thinking that she never experienced. So again, that was helpful. Also with that, I want to say too, that we, even, if there is no congruence there with that circle of people, still be available for others. And I say that because that is a big, big, big be there for others. Here's what I recognized as well. Going back to that situation with the queen gossiper. So now years have passed, and I'm talking about years. But I didn't throw any of them away. We just kind of understood, what it was and, how people grow apart. Now, I will say that the maturity in that situation was great because nobody, it wasn't like, I don't like her now that she's different. It wasn't that type of thing. But I remember that queen gossiper, because we hadn't talked in a while, we weren't abreast with each other. And so we didn't know about some of the current events and things that were going on. And I remember her texting me and reaching out to me. And she was like, oh, I just love, your posts and they're so inspirational. And whenever you get a chance, give me a call. I want to talk to you. And so, we began to talk on the phone and we kind of caught up, with everything that had been going on for years. And it was almost as if, we hadn't even missed a beat. And so she said, I love this about you. And, she's just going on and she's telling me about the things that she went through. And this is why I came to the conclusion that I came to about the queen gossipers and the king gossipers. In her own personal life, she was going through a lot. And so her output was to gossip, because her home was not truly fulfilled. And in that space, also, my heart kind of sunk, because even if I didn't like it, I totally understood where her heart was, where her mind was, and where she was coming from. Because listen, there are different things about people that you may not like, but if you see really truly how they are in their hearts, when good people, and she definitely is a good person. And she began to tell me about personal things, and I remember we had like a 2-hour conversation, just laughing and just really going deep also into some things that she just needed to expound on. And it really made me think about the availability that we have to others. Even if I had moved on and, the other friend had moved on into a different facet and maturity in her life, even if people are left away and outside of where you are, it doesn't mean that you don't have space for them. And so it was almost like, I want to come to the other side and get into this place and where you are. And we began to talk about things and, just how the mind changes and this, that, and the other. And it was almost like, the group of friends that introduced me in so many of the things that I needed, I was able to be a vessel for her and tell her so many things about what I had experienced, what I had learned, where I am in my life. And I was a teacher for her. And so that just changed and rearranged her mind. So I want you to also remember that even if you are not operating in the same space with certain people, especially when there is not like a drop, fall off, oh, you dead to me type of situation, because again, like I said, that can happen. Always be available for others, because you can be a teacher and a bridge for whatever it is that they need in their life. I feel like I said a lot, y'all. And I feel like I needed to get that off, because one of the things about, having a circle of friends and family is that we become complacent with their ideals and the activities. And we also have a joint way and, a community and group way of thinking. And when one just kind of moves off of it, it kind of unbalances the group. And then again, you show up acting funny and being different. And then eventually some people will find their own way and move into their own lane. And then some people will stay in that complacency and keep doing the same thing that they'll do. But you can also be a teacher and a helper, and stand in a place where you can assist with people who are now finding their happy medium with growth. And I think that lesson was important, not only for me, but for so many people, because we have a reluctance sometimes to move away from the things that we have known for so long onto something that is so great, because we don't want to, in some ways, miss out on what we knew. We don't want to be considered as being better than, but we also know that the moving and the growth serves our purpose well. This was definitely the longest episode ever, and I think it was needed. It was a great way to top this thing on off. I am so glad that you are here. So glad that, I have listening ears. I am so thankful for every single person who is tapping in and just enjoying the moment. I look forward to honest dialogue, and speaking on many things. For 2023, I also wanted to bring in something new. So I got some things cooking and I'm excited about it. I am planted securely on ground and I know where I'm headed. I really, really, really hope that this week provides you with clarity. It provides you with comfort. It provides you with security. It provides you with wisdom. And it definitely provides you with growth. Tell a friend about Seasoned Dialogue. Let them tap in, even if it's, an episode. If it's something that resounded in your heart, that you felt good about, that you want to share, definitely, have a friend or a family member to tap in. We finna go in deep. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. All right. Bye.